Good afternoon. Hey, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about data-driven manufacturing. This topic is really about companies becoming truly data-driven, creating a data-driven culture, creating a data-driven company. Uh, One of the things that we are big believers in is that companies need data to understand what's going on in their organizations. And we work with a lot of manufacturers. I mean, in fact, we're an industrial intelligence solutions company. So that means that we work with manufacturers to help them operate more efficiently and grow. And we do that by connecting directly to the machines on the plant floor, connecting to the people that are operating those machines and working in the plant floor, and connecting to other systems to take the data from those systems, convert that to valuable information, and present that to people so they can make decisions, most importantly, to take action. And when companies do that, they have a better understanding of what's going on in the organization. They can understand in real time what's happening, as well as being able to forecast in the future what's happening, compared to their competitors, which may not have any sense of what's going on. Their competitors might have data written down on a few pieces of paper, or working with the data that's in people's heads, or working with small applications and silos of data which are disconnected. And people then at that point don't know what's going on, including the leadership. With data-driven organizations, there's the strong ability for companies to be able to grow at that point. This is the true success of companies, becoming data-driven organizations. I mean, it really does step through these kinds of processes. Like I said, it's getting the data from your organization down onto the plant floor, being able to analyze that data, convert that data to valuable information, then use that data to make decisions, and again, most importantly, to take action on it. Some examples of the kinds of data that we like to work with for companies are data that provides them with real-time alerts of what's going on the plant floor, mobile applications, scoreboards, giving them process data, being able to provide scoreboards, schedules, work management solutions. We do production scheduling systems, MES systems, SCADA systems, dashboarding applications, a lot of different systems to enable companies to understand what's going on. You might step back and think, well, why is this valuable? Is this really something that we ought to be thinking about? And I would say, yes, absolutely. There's a lot of research out there that says, hey, yeah, really ought to be thinking about becoming a data-driven manufacturing company. And the one that I like to reference most often is this last one here. The research shows, I mean, it sounds like, 9 out of 10 dentists say that, this is the product to work with. Well, here, it's kind of reminds me of that a lot. It's research shows that analytics pays back $13.01, don't forget that 1 cent, for every dollar spent to become data-driven. That is a really compelling metric from a lot of the research that's out there. So, I mean, can you really imagine, taking $1 and then turning that into $13? Even my cousin, who has worked on Wall Street for a lot of years, is not able to get that kind of 13 bagger, that kind of multiple on Wall Street. Becoming a data-driven company, it really does pay. Let's step back and talk about what becoming or being a data-driven company really means. For us, there are 5 facets to this. It starts off with having a single version of the truth, a single place where all of the data is accessible. And then there are data and tools that people have access to be able to work with that single version of the truth. That data needs to be broadly accessible as well. Again, kind of repeating the point, to all of the people in the organization. And those people have to have some literacy about that data. They have to be able to understand how to find answers to questions that they have, how to be able to kind of make decisions on that data and work with that data. And then lastly, they need to be empowered to make decisions, and most importantly, to take action on that data. If you're able to accomplish those 5 facets of becoming a data-driven company, then you're well on your way to a lot of success in an organization. Having said that, it's a pretty tall task for companies to do. The way we like to look at becoming a data-driven company is that companies will go through 4 different stages on that process. And I just use some fun terms to put these ideas together. The first one is conjecture. Companies that have very little or no data at all, and they're using their personal experience to understand what's going on in the company. Or they might be licking their finger and sticking it in the wind to say, my intuition is telling me this is what's going on. Now, how reliable is that going to be? I do like to rely on my intuition, but I'm not making decisions on only just my intuition. And it's very subjective as well, kind of like, using my intuition. The next step or next stage for companies to move from being not data-driven towards being completely a data-driven organization is that they're working with technology staff to start to put solutions in place. They're starting off with some of the basic easy tools, Excel, Access, etc. We've run into any number of manufacturers that are using pieces of paper, or better yet, smart sheets, Excel, etc., to track data. And quite honestly, we're happy to see it. And it's not the end all and be all, but well, gee whiz, at least they're doing something. At least they're capturing that data and starting to use it. And we also look at how they're using that data. Not only just are they capturing it in Excel or Smartsheets, but what are they doing with it? Are they using it in their morning, daily stand-ups? Are they using it to make decisions? Who's seeing that data? What kind of data is there? What's the quality of the data, et cetera? And a lot of the companies there are, for anybody who needs the data, they'll start to figure out who the people are who have capabilities to create these kinds of little Excel solutions and know how to use or to create formulas and how to create charts and maybe even how to create pivot tables in Excel. And so they'll find those data friends, if you will, in the company to help accomplish those kinds of tasks. Hopefully, if a company wants to become a data-driven organization, that's a temporary stage, the DIY or do-it-yourself stage. The next stage is that companies then continue to develop, and it becomes towers of babel. They've got silos of data all over the place. The BYOBI, which is bring your own BI or bring your own business intelligence tool. Each department has their own set of data that they're using to analyze what's going on in that department. But those departments are not connected and are not communicating with one another. Those tools within those departments are easier to get data from. It is easier to analyze the data, but still it takes a fair bit of experience. And they are starting to get into more data visualizations for the tool. But again, there's a lot of disconnection. And so for anybody trying to lead the organization within the leadership and management team, it's difficult to get a real-time idea of what's going on. And each of those departments still kind of difficult. It's getting easier to analyze the data, but still a task to analyze the data. They're making progress, but they're not quite there yet. The last point, the last stage is what I call nirvana. They have that single architecture, what we like to think of as the single hub with spokes out to all the departments. Within manufacturing terms and manufacturing architectures that we recommend, it's an MQTT data broker that connects to the machines, the SCADA systems, the MES systems, CMMS, the ERPs, everything, and then becomes that one central place for all the data. The data is accurate. The data is timely. The data is sufficient. You don't have a lack of data. You're not asking, well, where's this other data? It's there. It's available. All you have to do is go and grab it. And that data is shareable. Everybody has access to it, and everybody understands how to use it, and it's easy to work with. And then, again, most importantly, those people, those companies, then have been empowered to make decisions and finally to take action on that data. Once a company has reached that point, that fourth stage, what I call nirvana, that means that they have really developed into a data-driven organization. The last topic I thought would be worth mentioning is the idea of the journey. What we would recommend companies think about and do as they're going through this journey. The conjecture stage. Really there aren't very many people here. This was probably a pretty typical situation, back when 8 tracks were the hot thing. And believe me, I remember a lot of the 8 tracks that I had, including the Commodores and uh, the police and a few other groups. Yes, any number of 8 tracks. That was back in the day. Uh, we at this point have mostly companies that are in the DIY stage. Hey, they've started. You got to start somewhere, and they've got Excel and Access, but they've probably been doing that for several years. And well, quite honestly, gang, hey, it's time to move on. They're very careful with the sharing of the data that they have. They have what we call, those data friends that I referenced before. We also refer to them as accidental data scientists, the people who suddenly start to find maybe an informal career in doing data science work for the company. And what they need to do is to start to help those accidental, say, data scientists become more formal data scientists. They should be at that point starting to establish specific processes, SOPs, whatever you want to call them, around being able to use that data, consume that data, and make decisions on that data. And the everybody, the companies, the individuals, the departments should start to become a little bit more friendly with the IT department so that they can get access to the data as well. And hopefully the IT department is a friendly group that is working to serve their internal customers and work as a team. And hopefully the IT group has a seat at the table to help contribute to the growth and benefit of the company. For companies that are into the towers of Babel stage, hopefully the departments are starting to establish models of data for analysis, the fact and dimensions within, let's call it data warehousing and data analysis, business intelligence tools. Let's create those data models so that you have all of the KPIs processed, so that you're moving from analyzing transactional data to using aggregated data. And you're working with better tools like Tableau and Power BI and other tools. But keep in mind, those tools are going to have their day and they're eventually going to go away. It's time also to really establish either those accidental data scientists into real data scientists, if they have the capability and interest, or to start to hire in people who are really good at understanding and analyzing and providing data necessary to help the company make the right decisions and take action. The users should be educated so that they, again, understand how to work with and look at and make decisions on that data. And the processes around making the decisions need to be improved as well. And once the company has reached the nirvana stage, that's where they've got the full company-wide data models, all of the tools in place. The departments are working within teams, are working as teams with data scientists kind of at the center of those teams to help drive the creation of those data models and improvements of those data models. The company might even have a chief data officer who is responsible for those data scientists, and they have good data governance policies established to make sure that the data stays safe and clean, accurate, and timely. And they have finalized their processes for being able to make decisions with the data. Again, I'll summarize the impact, kind of going back to this slide, of becoming a data-driven company is huge. And we see a lot of need for manufacturers to become data-driven organizations. The manufacturers need to reach deeper within their organizations, down to the plant floor. ERP systems at the highest level, it's not cutting it anymore. The ERP systems don't have all of the data necessary, and they are absolutely not the single point or the single version of the truth to share all the data with the organization. Absolutely not, because they have a certain role to play within the company. Other systems, MES, SCADA, CMMS, quality systems, LIMS, etc., those all have their place for managing a lot of the data and being the systems of records for that data. And then that data needs to be shared separate of the ERP system. ERP system data needs to be shared as well. But all that data needs to be shared within that hub and accessible to everybody, such that you're able to get that data from the machines, from the people and other systems, share it with everybody, and then most importantly, make decisions and take action on that data.